So I briefly went over our mission. Our purpose is to provide environmental solutions for infrastructure projects, but our real mission is to do everything possible to create a healthier environment. And we live that mission statement every single day at Summit. Every single action we do, and we're busy on multiple projects day in and day out. I mean, if you look at the last 24 hours of life at Summit Environmental, we were in San Jose working with the Central Valley Transportation Authority. Last night, we started the shift at 10 p.m. and we ended at 5 a.m. this morning, and we removed 250 tons of contaminated soil, aerial deposited lead material. Actually, we removed 350 tons of at a freeway interchange where they're actually adding a lane for carpools for electric vehicles. So we transitioned from there out to Malibu this morning, where we were collecting water samples at the Trancas Creek bridge overcrossing that connects the general public to the beach, so that people can enjoy the beach without worrying about traffic and stopping traffic. And with the water samples we were collecting, we're in a preserve, a natural preserve, and we were checking to make sure the water quality didn't require treatment during the construction of the bridge. So, and then we're sending out a number of bids this morning for various projects throughout the state of California for similar type scopes of work that range from everything from dewatering contaminated soil and treatment to disposal of contaminated and hazardous materials, mostly soil. I think, and I'll get into this a little bit when I talk about our services, but I believe that I think 40% of the material that we're actually removing, we're repurposing at landfills for beneficial reuse. And that's something that separates Summit from the rest of our industry, amongst other things. So the second component of our mission statement is always do the right thing first, maintain a strong sense of safety, sustainability, and profitability. And we're also living that. We've got zero incidences with respect to safety on any of the projects we're working on. And most of our customers, probably 95% of our customers, are public works companies like the MTA, Caltrans, the OCTA. We work with almost every city and municipality in the state of California right now, in addition to some of the biggest contractors nationwide. And like I said, we've got zero issues with respect to safety on any of those projects. You can go to the next slide, please. So I've briefly talked about the problem, the environmental pollution that has to be removed before any infrastructure modernization project can start. And you may wonder where this contamination comes from. And as I mentioned, it's from prior use of that area. We recently completed a project on the Golden State Freeway for Caltrans, and again, they were putting in carpool lanes. But the industrial area adjacent to the freeway, there was 19 properties that had been used in an industrial way, and every single one of those properties we had to evaluate and ultimately remediate. I think we removed almost 40,000 tons of contaminated soil before they could actually build out the freeway. So, and in that case, all that material was repurposed at a local landfill, and they actually used it to bury the material that was brought into the landfill. So in that case, we were actually able to classify the material for reuse. And I get a lot of questions on our campaign page and also emailed to me asking about how we recycle material, and that's a classic use. I mean, 30 to 45,000 tons material being repurposed for beneficial reuse is a huge component of any landfill, and how we add value to our customers. Instead of taking this thing to a permanent landfill, taking this material to a permanent landfill, we can actually repurpose it and put it to good use. And I briefly talked about the nation's infrastructure being outdated, needing to be modernized. And in doing so, we're dramatically helping reduce the carbon emissions and reduce the carbon footprint, now so in California, but ultimately nationwide. And that's a huge problem. And, you know, without getting too much into global warming and climate change, this is a great purpose. You know, this is a great problem to help solve. You know, lowering carbon emissions, you know, removing toxics or preventing toxics from entering our groundwater supply, and protecting our communities. I mean, it's a real gift to me, and it's a real blessing that we were able to be in an industry that actually provides those services as an end goal. And then as far as the last point on the slide, removing pollution, environmental pollution, you know, and I just talked about this, but the workers can't work out there. Regulations forbid the construction from going on until we clean up the area where the structures are being built. And most of these structures are pretty massive. We're talking about miles of freeway, $500 million railroad construction projects, airport renovations, and those type of projects. So you can go to the next slide, please. So how do we provide the solutions? Well, we work, like I said, we work on all aspects of infrastructure construction. You know, anything that's related to modernizing our infrastructure, we're directly involved with. One of the added values that Summit brings to the table in this industry is that we're a full service consulting and contracting company. So we're able to blend science, technology, engineering, and contracting into the services that we provide. And that's a very unique approach to our industry. And that's how we add, you know, value. That's how we create value as a company. That's how we add value to our customers, by providing a full array of services. So when we go into a project, we look at it as a comprehensive project, not just a remediation project. So we're evaluating the material statistically and looking at options as a step one, step two priority to our customers. One, you know, how can we use this from a beneficial or recycling standpoint, instead of just hauling it to a disposal facility and filling up that landfill? And two, how can we potentially reuse the material on site, either under a structure or somewhere where it won't be in harm's way to the workers, and it won't negatively impact the environment or the drinking water supply. So we're looking at this, and when I get to our team, you guys will understand why we're able to do this. We've got a proven team of professionals that covers the full spectrum of an environmental science-based contractor. And then the last point on this slide is, by eliminating the source of contamination, we're able to prevent the toxics from migrating into the drinking water supply, create safer communities and lower carbon emissions. And that may sound like a redundant statement that you're going to hear over and over in this pitch, but I mean, these are monumental opportunities that we have as a company, and these are value-added goals that we bring to the table as a for-profit company, and our industry is just blowing up right now. So, you know, it's a win-win-win. You know, we clean the environment, we protect the communities, and we become a profitable, growing business. and I briefly just covered this, you know, we've been busy for 10 years. Now with this new bill passing, it's become an extremely, the government has taken an already successful business industry and created this extremely robust opportunity, more so than we've seen since the beginning of the business. But I want to be clear, we've always been busy. We've always had opportunities out there. This is a recession-proof, COVID-proof industry. There's nothing that stops infrastructure. And I don't want to say there was anything beneficial about the COVID crisis, but the only benefit to us was we didn't have to work nights anymore. We could shift all our attention to day work because there was no traffic on the freeways. But we never slowed down. We never stopped. So some of the projects we work on are freeways, local roads, railroads, airports, bridges, bike paths, and commercial and residential developments. And we see the opportunity has never been greater. So that would be a description of why now. So this is what we envision as the market size only in California. And we've spent an absorbent amount of time evaluating, what the market size looks like. We've gone through every piece of potential literature related to infrastructure construction in California, including the Engineering News resource, which is a publication it's been around. We had a talk with a rep, and he made it clear to us it's been around for 160 years or something thereabouts, and they are the authoritative source on construction nationwide, if not globally. And it was made clear to us that the California market was in excess of $40 billion annually. We identified greater than 500 prospective businesses in California alone. And then we've also identified 5 target markets. You can see the pie chart there on the right-hand side. So we whittled that down, if you will, to what we see as our specific addressable market at $5 billion annually. And then we felt that we could gain a share of the market at up to 5% in the next 5 years. And I got to watch what I say because Khalil gave us that little footnote that I can't talk too much about the future. So, but that's how we see it. And that's where we're headed, and we'll get there. We just need a little bit of support, but we feel that that's a great opportunity. I want to be clear on something though. Our target market right now, we're primarily focused only on the contractors. These are the big infrastructure contractors and the government, the blue and the lime green, if you will. That's 46% of the available market. We haven't touched the large consultants, any of the developers, or the industry. That would be the petrochemical industry, the natural gas industry, the industrial industry, and that's a huge market. And right now, we're getting a very small piece of the markets that we're currently in. We're really only limited by how big we can grow the company, how fast we can grow the company, by the number of boots we have on the ground right now. We really believe strongly in our business model, which I'm going to share here momentarily on a upcoming slide. And it's a proven model. So I think the more energy we can put into our sales team, more energy we can put into our business development team, the more opportunities that we're going to have as a company, because the industry's there. the industry is exploding, and it's not going anywhere. So those will be the challenges moving forward for Summit, to expand our reach into these other target markets and to increase our presence with our current customer base, which I think we'll also share in the upcoming slide as well. So I hope that all makes sense. And when I see slides like this, though, I get pretty excited. So, okay, just briefly, these are the services that we provide. And you know, as the phrase says, the Summit Environmental Contractors offers full-scale, hands-on hazardous waste management and environmental contracting services. Well, under the hazardous waste management category, I'd like to bring your attention to the 4 elements on the right-hand side before we talk about the first one. So the sampling and waste profiling and site investigation work, the plans, reports, and safety training, and the oversight, testing, and monitoring, as well as our extremely strong, capable GIS data mapping, statistical data evaluation, and the drone surveys and the dewatering, they all play into our primary focus, which is the excavation, transportation, and beneficial use for soil and liquid. And ultimately, the latter 4 categories define how we handle the first category. And I don't want to get overly complex. I want to keep this a general conversation. But we're proficient in all 5 of these service-based groups. I would say that we're experts on all 5, and bringing that to the table supports, you know, how we can reuse this material and ultimately look at options for maximizing the reuse and recycling of the materials. So, and when we're employed by these companies, by the infrastructure contractors, by the government, and all our other customer base, they look to us to provide this full gamut of opportunities. You know, as I mentioned, we recently finished a job in Malibu. Maybe I didn't mention it, but last week we were working on the removal of some ADL soil on PCH as part of that Trancas Creek Bridge remodel or installation. And they actually hired us to do a drone survey to document the removal process, and they used that as some marketing data that the infrastructure contractor did to promote their own business. And this is a $500 million a year company, and they're hiring us to do drone surveys for them. And they also use the GIS data to document where the material was removed from. So that's a good example of how, you know, our secondary services play into our ultimate goal of removing the material or recycling the material. And this is how we create value as a company. These 5 components. Most companies in our space only do 1 or 2 of these, but as I said, Summit is proficient in all of these categories. So this is our team, if you will, and the beauty of this group of individuals, apart from the Grace and Rachel, who are new to the team, is other than that, myself, Richard, Mr. Gold, Heather, Will, and Renee have all been working together closely for 10 years. And early on, we mentioned that in the video, we mentioned that we had been working on more than $5 billion in construction projects. Well, this is the team that's been working on those projects. We're extremely close-knit. We understand how each other thinks, and each one of us is an expert in the field. So Richard is a forensic scientist and a PhD, and he's also a professor at a local university. and a good friend of mine. He's been with us for, we've been working together for almost 30 years. Dave Gold is our health and safety director, and Dave and I have been working together almost 20 years. And we really rely on him to hone our environmental health and safety documents and how we as a company interact on these projects to keep everybody safe. Heather and I, again, have been together 30 years, and she's proficient in operations, but also in contract review and pretty much any administrative services and pretty much anything else that you need from a business standpoint. Will's in charge of our field services. He's a professional geologist and extremely competent individual. Gracie and Rachel are doing the sales right now, and they're bringing in projects left and right. Super proud of them. And Renee is our statistician and GIS modeling professional, also a professional geologist, and we've been working together for probably 15 years. So extremely tight-knit group, extremely high competency, and it's a great team, and we're not going anywhere. So this is our business model, and without getting too much into each component, I think it's a very concise, very clearly articulated business model that will get us exactly where we need to go. And it ultimately feeds into, and I haven't mentioned this, but the disruptive nature of our services bring 5 standalone components into one cohesive functioning company to provide all the needs that any of these large scale companies that we're working for would ask for on some of the largest infrastructure contracts in the United States. So I mentioned that we were already a successful company prior to this $1 trillion infrastructure bill, but literally since the bill was executed at I think towards the end of last year, we've seen an amazing uptick in the nature of our business and the opportunities that are out there. The way we typically find projects are digitally and in real time, and when we're trying to focus more on the opportunities from our current customers while we're in development of new customers. It's pretty heady stuff, and we're definitely understaffed for the opportunity. So hopefully at some point we'll be able to grow into that space and take advantage of the opportunities that are out there right now. How we see ourselves capitalizing on it is, we're going to continue to add to our team with the best advisors, partners and resources from all the way up from the management team all the way down to the field crews. So our focus will always be on creating customer and investor value, and I think that's a worthy goal. And then I mentioned also the disruptive scope of our work, where we're blending science, technology, and environmental construction into one company. Okay, this is the stuff that gets me excited. And if you're an investor in Summit, this should get you excited too. Or if you're a potential investor in Summit, you should get excited by this. So there's a little bit of I don't know what's going on there on the current contract. So it looks like it's overlaid on top of one of the bullet points. But we currently have, that's okay. I can work through that. When we started this this fundraising campaign 2 months ago, we were at about $9 million in current contracts. As of today, with the current contract awards we have and the pending contracts that we're in the process of reviewing for signature, we're and there's one contract not on here. We're at about 15 to $16 million in backlog contracts. So we've seen tremendous growth in the last even 60 days. And we see what these opportunities do is they provide us as the security to continue to press forward with our initiatives to grow the business and scale the company. So when you know as a company that you've got $15 million in backlog work over the next 12 months, then you can plan accordingly. You know, and that's only what, March, April? So we're only getting started this year. We'll probably add another $5 to $7 to $10 million in contracts in the next 6 months, if not more. So it's not without it's not beyond reality to say we could have $20 million in backlog contract going into the summer months, and that's what gets me excited. And you know, these contracts are an across the board opportunity, from railroad modernization, subway projects, to grade separation projects where they're either taking the railroad and going under the road or over the road, to water treatment systems, to freeway contracts. Just looking at this list, bike paths, a couple of bike paths on there. So this is the future of our business. You know, we've got several master services agreements that we haven't even tapped into yet, where companies have reached out to us and said, hey, we want to create master services agreements with you so that you can be a regular bidder on our projects. And that's exactly where we want to be as a company moving forward. You know, we want to have that those businesses coming to us because they see the value that we're creating. I don't want to run out of time, so we can keep moving. That'd be great. Okay, these are our top 50 customers, or these are 50 of our top customers, all proven infrastructure contractors. Some of them are, I think we've got 6 of the top 10 infrastructure contractors in the US working with us currently. And but I think where the challenges are is to gain more opportunity with these companies, because my sense is we're getting 5% of their business. So our goal is to increase that opportunity with these current customers, in addition to adding additional customers, in addition to branching out into those other industries that we haven't even tapped into yet. So that's a pretty heavy order, but I think you can see the value with that. So I'll wrap it up with this statement. So I think that, you know, our current success makes us poised for the future. You know, I can't get into too much of the numbers like Cliff said. However, we're a profitable business. You can see us on the campaign page, you know, what our revenues look like for the last couple of years. And that number, again, without violating any SEC space right now, is going to look completely different. How's that sound? At the end of 2022, in a positive way. You won't even recognize this business at the end of 2022. So, and like I said here, so the federal government has made an already profitable industry even more lucrative. Sorry about that. And the traction that we've built over the last couple of years is definitely taking hold right now. We can see it. You know, we can see the customers coming to us now, and whereas in prior years we'd have to reach out to them, they're actually reaching out to us. So I know there's going to be some questions that you guys have, so I'm going to cut it off there so we have 10 minutes to so I can answer some questions. Okay.
Let's do it. We